Chapter 2. Even bad men feel pain. Don't no vets come around here, so I'm doing the best I can for Bertha. I raised her from a calf, but I don't have a lot to say when it comes to how things done around the house, so I can only do so much. Her fever higher now, and I can't get her to drink no water. I put cool cloths on her, but she's not really moving much, breathing rapid and shallow. The sun is high, but it's still cold in this little shed today. Even that don't keep her cool. I don't think she gonna make it, but this the last thing I know to do, but he won't let me do. Leaving the small dilapidated barn that Bertha has always called home, Eve goes back to the house, entering the kitchen through the back door. As she moves to the cupboard, she can hear Bear and May Evelyn talking civilly in the sitting room. I'm teaching her to take care of everything, Bear. Why can't you help her? May Evelyn asks. She ain't mine to teach, Bear says. But she's mine. She part of me. Ain't that enough, she pleads? We had something that was part of you and me. Don't you remember him? Bear asked with a slight edge to his voice. I remember. It hurts. It hurts to remember. We were just so poor and broke. Couldn't afford no good doctor. He just died. That fever took him from us and he gone. But it like part of you died with him, she says. I ain't gonna talk to you about this. You don't understand how a man feel, woman. Never have. They gonna be here soon. I got to go to work, Bear says with a wave of his hand. Please, Bear. I'm listening, May Evelyn pleads. After several moments of silence, Bear puts down his paper lunch sack and looks directly into her eyes. My boy dead. Just a year old. Hadn't even lived good yet, but he gone. And you get that good job in the courthouse, and we live a little better. Swear we never have another child die 'cause we poor. And I support you. Then you get raped by that rich white man that hired you. And I understand. We ain't got no say. We can't quit. We need that money. Ain't no colored woman gonna get a job like that so easy. So you stay and keep quiet, like we always do. But my pride hurt. I can't do nothing to protect you. It's hard to look you in the face. And you have that baby. His baby. That bastard bitch out there. And she tear you up so bad. You barren. Can't have babies no more. Can't have my babies no more. So I stuck raising the bastard child of a rapist. I can't leave you. I love you. So where does that leave me? Half a man with a bastard for a daughter? She ain't no part of me, May Evelyn, Bear finishes. We's a family, Bear. She a good girl. She not fast. And she do everything best she can. Give her a chance. We a family, May Evelyn says, while reaching out to touch his hand. Eyes slightly glassy, he pulls his hand away and picks up his lunch sack. I hear the truck. I got to go. Before he can leave the house, Eve is already in the backyard, carrying a large bowl of vinegar. Once inside the small barn, she kneels next to Bertha and uses a clean cloth to swab vinegar over her swollen udders. Bertha does not even make a sound, only lies there breathing shallow and fast. After an hour or so, Bertha doesn't seem any better, but she isn't any worse, so Eve goes back inside, alone. It's 1 o'clock, and Mama's sleeping heavy till she gotta go in for her 10-hour night shift. Bear gone to the sawmill where he be working his own 10-hour shift. My shift don't never end. I gotta clean the kitchen and get everything prepared for when Mama go to work. She told me exactly what she want for dinner, so I gotta get prepared. I knew Bear wasn't my daddy. I knew some white man was my daddy. Mama told me that a long time ago when I asked her why I looked so different. But I didn't know she got raped. I didn't know she couldn't have no more babies because of me. I feel bad. I can't help but so much because I was a baby, but I still feel bad. Made me kind of understand why he treat me so bad. Things ain't good between Bear and Mama. They can't spend time with each other because they're working and they always argue. The only thing they doing when they ain't arguing is laying together. And they don't do that so much no more. Sounds like something beautiful. I shouldn't be listening or watching, but I can't help myself. I want to know what it's all about. It is nearly time for May Evelyn to go to work, and Eve already has her lunch packed and ready for her to take to the courthouse. Mama, is it hard working at the courthouse cleaning? Eve asks. No, baby. Not too hard, but the work is steady. But it's good because nobody is there to disturb you or have to work around, May Evelyn explains. Can I come with you one night, Mama? You know, and helps you out? I do good around the house. I sure I could do it, Eve asks her. Maybe one day soon. I think you could do it, but you'll be 15 soon. Let's do it then. Okay, Mama, Eve says. Giving her daughter a big hug, May Evelyn holds her close to her. Now I want you to listen to me. Try to stay out of Bear's way tonight, all right? He's not himself right now. Do you hear me, girl? Yes, ma'am. I set out his dinner hot and it shine cold, and steer clear of him, Eve promises. With a deep sigh, May Evelyn releases her daughter, gathers up her lunch sack, and leaves out the back door to make the 2-mile-long walk to the bus stop. As soon as her mother is out of sight, Eve sits down to a plate of her own home cooking that she's able to enjoy in peace and quiet. Every evening, from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I have the whole house to myself. I can do what I want to do. All the dishes are washed, and the rooms cleaned, and the food cooked, so I can pass the time how I want to usually. And I like to read. When Mama told me I was going to have to stop going to school, I got all the books I could and hid them under my bed. Usually I sit by the window and read till the sun go down, and then I read by the lantern. But tonight, since Bertha's so sick, I'ma read to her. I hope that it soothes her, so at least if she die tonight, she won't be lonely. I have to be careful when I read, because the books, they don't talk like we do. They talk real proper like white folks from town, so when I read a lot, my English gets correct. But I don't like that. He said I'm trying to be uppity because I got white blood in me. He beat me real bad that day. Mama was real mad at him, but she didn't do nothing about it. I think she's scared of Bear too. He's so big and so mean. Seemed like he hurting though. Hurting bad. About like Bertha. I can't do nothing for her. Before I left school, I was doing real good with reading and writing, the teacher says. She say she know I got no choice by leaving, so I got to be responsible for my education. She got me a book called Hamlet, written a long time ago. It's hard. They want to give up on reading altogether, but I keeps trying. The English they speak in that book ain't like no English I ever heard. I wouldn't have believed in English if the teacher didn't say so. I done read it 5 times, and I gets it a lot better now. I even likes it. It's sad and beautiful, make me mourn for myself. I trapped, just like Hamlet. He trapped in lies and trapped in his mind. I trapped in his house and trapped in his life. Only ways out is scary. I starting to think that Bertha done found her way out and she about to take it. She don't move or nothing. Just breathe fast. Like that all she got left in her to do. Time always goes fast when you're doing what you want to do. And I was reading and reading and reading. And something tells me that I need to get moving as I get knocked in the head. I push down my book and leave the little shed, closing the door behind me so the mangy dog will leave poor Bertha alone. When Eve gets inside, she takes the lantern over to the small cuckoo clock to see that it is 9:35 p.m., leaving her 25 minutes before Bear gets home from the mill. Expertly, she places 2 logs on the fire to get it going, since she never makes the mistake of letting the stove go cold. In no time, she has warmed the pot of neck bones and rice, along with a pan of baked pig feet, collard greens, and cornbread. She fixes him 2 plates, one with just the pig feet, and the other with everything else. She then goes to the icebox and retrieves a fresh jar of cold moonshine that she places next to the plate, along with a fork and tattered cloth napkin. The food is piping hot, sending tendrils of steam floating several inches into the cool, still night air. With 10 minutes before his arrival, Eve takes the opportunity to eat a plate of neck bones and cornbread. Not able to thoroughly enjoy the fruits of her day-long labor, she eats her food as fast as she can, places the dirty dish in the sink, and leaves a lantern on the table for Bear to eat by, opting to walk back outside to Bertha in the dark. When she reaches the door of the small shed, Eve can hear the pickup truck pulling up to the house to drop Bear off. Hesitating, she waits silently as her ears pick up the sound of his heavy boots on the wooden front steps and the slamming of the front door. After several minutes pass, and she does not hear an angry bellow of her name, she opens the door of the shed and steps inside, returning to her vigil over the ailing Bertha. Having fallen asleep at the heifer's side, Eve is suddenly awakened by the stomping of heavy boots, just as she is grabbed by her upper arm and heaved into a kneeling position. Heavily disoriented, she looks up, while wincing in pain to see Bear holding her tightly and staring daggers at her. "You ain't got sense enough to sleep in the bed? I've been calling your worthless ass for 15 minutes. Get your ass in the house and serve that cold shine. I got company," Bear says angrily. Mouth gaping in silence, Eve tries to pull away, but Bear yanks her to her feet and begins walking her to the shed door as she winces in obvious pain. Shoving her outside, he stalks after her as she scampers to the house, as quickly as she can while comforting her damaged arm. Once inside, she stumbles through the kitchen and comes to an abrupt stop. In the sitting room, where there are 5 men in various shades of blackness sitting in all the available seats. When she enters, they are laughing and talking much too loudly, but fall silent as she looks around at them with her still frightened eyes. From behind, Bear calls her name, causing her to rattle in her boots, and gaining chuckles from the gawking house guests. "Get the shine," he commands. Obeying, she turns around, avoiding his gaze, and sidesteps around him back into the kitchen. Quickly, she gets a serving tray and places 6 jars of cold moonshine on it. Within a minute, Eve is back in the sitting room, leaning over slightly in front of each man so they will not have to reach too far to grab one of the jars. Stepping carefully, she keeps her eyes lowered, not wanting to acknowledge the hungry gazes of the men who stink of a long day at the sawmill. Reaching the end of the line, just as she hands the last jar to Bear, one of his guests runs a hand quickly up the back of her leg and strongly squeezes her left butt cheek. Gasping in shock and anger, she quickly straightens and bats his hand away with the serving tray, gaining overindulgent chortles from the gathering of men. "Get the hell out of here," Bear says over the men's laughter. "You ought to feel privileged anybody want to touch your simple ass." As the men erupt into another chorus of uproarious laughter, she leers courageously at Bear before stomping out of the room and throwing the serving tray onto the kitchen table, while continuing her exit to the cold outdoors. Crossing the backyard, Eve notices that the door to the shed is standing slightly open. Looking around, the only light in the entire yard is shining from the crack in the shed door. As she slowly nears, she is able to see shadows moving in random, haphazard patterns, accentuated by the sound of low guttural growls and the scratching of wood. Suddenly alarmed, Eve throws open the shed door to see that 2 mangy dogs have invaded Bertha's sick room. One is lashed on to the young cow's throat, pulling and tearing hungrily as bright red blood spurts from her destroyed arteries. Lower on her body, the second dog has bitten through and torn away Bertha's infected udders, chewing and tearing at the bright red flesh of her internal organs. Unleashing a pain-riddled scream, Eve begins grabbing Bertha's grooming items from the wall and launching them at the canines with all of the force she can muster. Although she strikes each dog multiple times, they sense no real threat from her attacks and continue to feast on the dying heifer. With tears running down her cheeks, Eve sprints from the shed to the house, bursting through the kitchen door and halting once again in the sitting room. Frantically looking around the room, she ignores the insults and catcalls of Bear and his friends, dashes to the nearest wall and snatches the 12-gauge shotgun off of it, turns tail, and runs back across the kitchen and out the back door. By the time she reaches the shed, ensuring the gun is loaded, Bertha is lying in a growing pool of blood with her eyes staring emptily as her tongue lolls, hanging out of her mouth. Both ravenous canines are muzzled deep into the lifeless cow's body, with the ripping and tearing of her flesh, causing her limp legs to shift back and forth across the floor. As tears stream and rage contorts her face, Eve pumps the shotgun, takes aim at the dog buried in Bertha's throat, and fires. The buckshot impacts the feral animal, causing it to yelp as it is knocked into the side walling of the shed. Just as the second dog raises his head, she takes aim and fires, striking it square in the face. Suddenly feeling weak, Eve lowers the weapon to her side and walks stiffly over to Bertha's dead body, standing in a wide puddle of the heifer's blood. Glancing around, she can see that both dogs are twitching spastically while whimpering intermittently. With a surge of anger, she raises the weapon again and shoots the first dog, point blank in the head, ceasing its movement. Bear, who is slightly intoxicated, gets to the doorway of the shed just in time to see the fourth shotgun blast into the head of the second dog, who quickly becomes as still as the first. Dropping the gun to the shed floor, Eve kneels down and attempts to close the dead cow's eyes, but she is unable to. Then she picks up her copy of Hamlet, opens it to a dog-eared page, and begins to read. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death what dreams may come. As the words foreign to Bear's ears tumble from Eve's lips, he tries to be angry at her actions, but cannot seem to find the emotion. Having never heard her read before, her heavy southern dialect woven into the Elizabethan English, of which he has no experience, is somehow comforting, like a prayer, when there is nothing else left in the world. When she comes to the end of the passage, her words trail off into silent sobs as the tears continue to stream down her face. Unconsciously stepping closer, Bear's heavy body causes the floor of the shed to groan in protest, gaining Eve's attention, who steadily pulls her book close to her and rises to her feet. The bottom 12 inches of her house dress, her ankles, and all of her feet are coated in a mixture of cow and dog's blood. Keeping her eyes low, she slowly walks towards the door of the shed, sidestepping just as she passes him. We ain't gonna have no milk no more.